Hi students, I'm Miss SS Tshabalala, doing topic 4, lesson 2 on citizenship. So the subject outcome is you need to be a responsible citizen by explaining measures to report corruption in the workplace. The learning outcome is to identify instances of corruption, economic crimes in South Africa and globally, and also to describe the process of reporting corruption and crime. So let us look at morally acceptable and morally unacceptable behavior. The morally acceptable behavior at our work means that we are responsible, we are punctual, we are full of respect, we are loyal, we are honest, we are reliable, we are trustworthy. Morally unacceptable behavior is the opposite of the morally acceptable behavior. It means that you are stealing, gossiping, bullying, you are lazy, disrespectful, irresponsible, unreliable, disloyal, and untrustworthy. So it is very important that you become someone with good morals and good work ethics at work. So let us look at the corruption and economic crimes. We'll look at this by explaining the examples. For the first example of corruption is when officials take bribes to allocate like RDP houses. So that's a corruption. And also like when lawyers takes money from road accident funds for victims of car accidents, this is also corruption, and it's a crime because the money is supposed to go to those who are in need of it. Employees who steal employers' money by claiming imaginary expenses. Other common examples of corruptions and economic crimes are bribery, graft, fraud, nepotism, tax evasion, maladministration, nepotism, cybercrime. So let us look at the advantages and disadvantages of reporting the crime. Let's start with the advantage. It is good to report corruption because this is one of the best ways to stop the bad practice. It reduces poverty and the economy. It goes up. And then the disadvantages of a reporting corruption is that you may be victimized, you can be isolated, you can even be fired from your job because remember, those people that do crime and corruption are in higher, most of the time, are in higher positions. So you can even get a harsh punishment, a very harsh punishment, not only losing your job, but even putting your life in danger. Then in order to report corruption and economic crimes, you need to know exactly what type of corruption was committed so that you can report it to the relevant body. You need to describe the Corruption Act, what was done, by whom, when, and you can remain anonymous by calling relevant hotlines or even write emails and give all the details. Corruption and economic crimes harm individuals because money and services that are meant especially for the poor are taken by people who are totally not in need of help. People that can afford to live a better life, but they take money from the poor. So society suffers because there are not enough basic services as the money was used elsewhere. People start mistrusting each other. This leads to poor living conditions. As you can see, kids, they are begging for food or are in queue so that they can get free food. It leads to riots, and infrastructure may be destroyed during riots. The country get a bad name. Things like investments, fundings, and tourism gets affected. So report crime as a responsible citizen. I know that sometimes you may feel like it is dangerous, but remember, you may remain anonymous without revealing your details. So as long as the crime will be reported, without wasting any time, I would like to thank you and show you the video. So why is it important to learn about the civic education? So thank you very much. You can enjoy the video.
Why is civic education important? Successful democracies depend on the active participation of informed citizens. Civic education aims to inform and empower citizens to fulfill this role. The purpose of civic education is to encourage and empower us to understand our political environment and to actively participate in democratic processes. This is why civic education is also known as democracy education. Civic education provides us with knowledge. For example, knowledge about our rights and responsibilities as people, and on the roles and functions of government institutions and parliament. This knowledge empowers us to claim our democratic rights, as well as demand good democratic governance from our elected leaders. That means that civic education shows us what we can do to protect and support our democracy. We need to learn about our rights to be able to claim them for our benefit, as well as defend and use them responsibly. A lot of this information is laid out in our country's constitution. And in South Africa, we are fortunate to have a constitution, a set of laws, and a political system that gives a lot of power to the people to participate. The state has to promote the Bill of Rights in order to create awareness of the rights it contains. The Department of Justice and the Human Rights Commission are some of the state institutions which have to promote this type of education. The overall objective of civic education is to promote active and responsible citizenship. Successful democracies critically depend on active citizens, people like you and me, upholding and claiming our rights. But active citizenship is not only about having rights. It is also about living up to our democratic responsibilities. For a democracy to function, it is the responsibility of people to monitor the performance of our government and hold political leaders accountable to fulfill their promises and to serve the people. If we see that things are going wrong, we can mobilize others in our community to raise awareness, change policies, or ensure that proper implementation of policies and the law occurs as it should. While the state is responsible for providing basic services, it is up to the people not to violate the rights of others. Let me give you an example. An essential political right in a democracy is the right to vote. You are not obligated to vote, and you are entitled not to vote. Should you decide not to vote, that does not mean that you lose any other rights. However, it means that you are reducing the total number of the voting population. If only a small proportion of voters vote in an election, this reduces the quality of its democracy. A high turnout of voters in elections is better for democracy because it means our elected leaders have more of an incentive to be responsive and accountable to ordinary people. We explain the right to vote in more detail in the video, Why Should You Vote? Civic education is about knowledge. Knowledge of what democracy means and how it functions in line with the South African Constitution. And this knowledge is power. If we are aware of the power we hold, then we can use it to our collective benefit. To use another example, if you know about your constitutional right to access to healthcare, you will not easily accept it when you are turned away from a clinic on the grounds that you cannot pay. Civic education will teach you that this is a constitutional right in South Africa and that you have the right to claim emergency medical attention for free. We explain the right to healthcare in more detail in the video. What does the right to healthcare entail? The more knowledge you gain, the more power you have to claim your constitutionally guaranteed rights to improve your life situation. And if many other people do the same, active citizens have the power to change practice or influence political decisions to the benefit of all the people of South Africa. To summarize, why is civic education so important? Civic education teaches us what we as individuals can do to protect and support our democracy. We come to understand our role and responsibility as active citizens. Especially since we have only had democracy since 1994, we need civic education to know how we can use this empowering political system to better our and all other South Africans' lives. Civic education empowers you to change the world around you for the better.
Thank you so much. Thank you.